Lawin Media Network.
Bringing to you the most relevant content across all platforms.
Business, legal, politics, health, lifestyle, and entertainment.
Your source for all the news and updates in the greater Houston community from Texas and all over the world.
Get informed and empowered with Lawin Media Network.
Hello, good evening everyone, and to our viewers in the Philippines, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to episode 5. Yes, you heard that right. Episode 5 of season 5 of Be Bold, Why Not? And our show is brought to you by Lawin Media Network, and you are watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, stream.lawin.live, and twitch.tv. And as we continue with our theme for this season, Legendary Speaker's Journey, I am bringing you a very well-rounded and very accomplished guest. But before we get to him, let me just again encourage our viewers to participate in our game. But first of all, let's show them the mechanics.
How to join the game. 1. Watch the live show and listen to the conversation. 2. Participate and share your experiences on the topic during the live show. 3. Type your thoughts or experience via comment section. 4. All participants are eligible to win a prize. 5. The more you comment, the greater your chances of winning. 6. We will use Wheel of
There you go. So again, to all our viewers, the more comments you make, the more chances of you winning a special prize at the end of the show. So as I was saying, I'm so excited because this season has been really an elevation of the show because I've had like legendary speakers. And tonight, I am so excited to share with you another man who is very powerful, has beautiful stories to share. And I'm going to let him share everything, but let me just give you a little bit of introduction of who our guest tonight is. So our very special guest tonight is Mr. Herbert Decker. He is a dynamic voice or the dynamic voice behind the impactful book, Coach, Heal, Motivate. Yes, you heard that right. Get it. It's on Amazon. Anyway, as a transformational speaker, Herbert, or we call him Trey, his middle name, specializes in resilience, personal growth, and mental wellness, guiding audiences through the art of overcoming adversity. Yes, leveraging personal experiences and profound insights, Herbert crafts powerful narratives that inspire action and instill a mindset geared towards thriving against all odds. Through engaging keynotes and workshops, Herbert equips individuals to harness their inner strength and navigate life's challenges with confidence and purpose. So let's have Mr. Herbert Trey Decker. Let's get him in. Yes, there he is.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Trey. Can I call you Trey?
Yes, you definitely can.
Okay, 'cause it seems to be like it's easier to say Trey, and I feel like I have that personal connection with you already, calling you by your middle name.
Of
And
course.
I'm so blessed to have you on the show. Having gone to that training that we both did with Les Brown, I just met wonderful people. And I'm so blessed because, in our journey in this life, we encounter people that just inspire us and that just motivate us to continue living the best life that we can have, because everybody has a special purpose in this world. But anyway, I will let you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, where you're from, about your family, because we want to get to know you. We want to get to know who Herbert Trey Decker is. So take it away, Trey.
Thank you, MJ. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you all for wanting to hear my story, and I would hope that my story inspire many out there. Right now, I would say life is great. And the reason why I say that is living in the now moment and being appreciative and grateful for the things that I have, that we all have. But I can tell you that there was a time in my life growing up as a kid where I didn't have everything. I originally come from Los Angeles, California, but the specific area that I came from, which is called Watts, California,
Mm-hmm.
one of the most gang-infested neighborhoods at that time. And growing up as a kid, not having very much, my mother, she was not around, so I was with my grandparents most of the time. So I was going to school starving, hungry, without things. And my dad didn't know about this during that time. Once he got word that I was going to get sent to a foster home, because by the time I was in first grade, I couldn't read, couldn't spell my own name. Going to school, dirty clothes. And my dad found out, took hold of me, raised me to be a strong young man, taught me the principles of being a man. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, that was the greatest blessing that anyone can have, my angel on my shoulder, as I always said. But I still had that struggle growing up with not having a mother, and just me and my dad, we're doing everything we can, two males in the house, just making it happen. And I wanted to be more like him. So when I graduated high school, I wanted to join the military. He was a
Mm-hmm.
Marine, but I wanted to go Air Force because I wanted something a little bit easier to challenge my brain at the time. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't approve of it at that time. He wanted me to go to school because I had an IT background, and I didn't want to do IT. I just want to be out there in the world. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say that because there are things that we all want to do and all want to grow up. And some of the family members didn't approve of my things. I wanted to write a book. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be in law enforcement. So I was told, you can't do that. You're dreaming. Snap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it hurt because an outsider could tell you no, but when a family member does, it stings a lot more. It pushes you back, makes you not want to go after your goals. So I struggled during my first informative years through my 20s to figure myself out. Where did I want to go? And
Mm-hmm.
then during that process, I had children. My oldest son, he's 25 years old. My next daughter's 21. My other daughter, she's 14. And then my youngest one is 12. And it's a blessing to have these children. I love them. And after going through my process of life, I struggled. I went through a lot of things in life trying to find me. And
Mm-hmm.
during that process of trying to find me, I went to the school of hard knocks, as they call it, where you fall down and you get back up. Fall down, get back up. I was a late bloomer. I was hard headed, but I was strong in spirit, where I knew I
Mm-hmm.
wanted more. And it didn't
Mm-hmm.
take, it took until I would say it's never too late in my 30s to actually go back to school for my associate's degree. I decided I'm tired of struggling. I have children. I need to move forward. And so as I
Mm-hmm.
began this journey, my youngest daughter, that's 12 years old, her mother passed away when she was 2. So
Oh.
I had to raise her by myself from that point on. So I was still gathering my life together, trying to find me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know what? I want to leave a legacy. I remember my professor for psychology said, if you were to pass away, what would your obituary look like?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was sitting down at my desk thinking, I haven't done nothing. I wanted to do a lot of things, but I haven't done anything other than I'm in school. I don't know what to say. And I was just stuck. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I leave for him? I don't know. And so as the journey began, I began to find a lot of obstacles in life that I had to overcome. And it
Mm-hmm.
built up the journey, the legacy, as I would say. And after going to school, get my associate's degree, after going to get my bachelor's, after going to get my master's. Now I'm working on my doctorate right now. And
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so I mean, I'm just it's just so mind-boggling how you were like at 7 years old, you said you couldn't even spell your name,
yes,
right?
couldn't even
And
spell.
now, yeah, I mean, and now you have written books. You are speaking in a lot of like, platforms. You have your podcast and all that. Now, let me tell you, I know it's more common. I don't, it's statistics, I think. It's more common for families to are fatherless. But in your case, it's different,
Yes,
right? Yeah, because
yes,
I mean, yeah, I hear it a lot. It's without a father in the family, it's like it's hard, especially you're a man, you're a
yes,
guy. So everybody needs that father figure. But in your case, you had your father, but without the mom. I mean, I feel I don't know, it breaks my heart because that's not the usual case.
yes,
Is that right? Yeah, so how was it for you? Because moms, especially men or male, they are more attached normally to their moms because of that opposite attract, and it's
yes,
in physiology, like, right, that even girls growing up, they will be more into their dad, and boys are more into their moms. So how was that like for you? Because it's so deep. I feel like there's something there that
yes.
probably that needs to get out.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is a wound that is so deep that I had to go through a lot of healing for it. Because I would say, being young and having your mother so close to you and then not understanding why she's no longer around. She was on drugs, she was partying, she was doing everything but raising a child at that time. So going as a kid, and my dad, he had to play mom and dad. And for that, I believe that for him, it was a big challenge. And for me, it was a different challenge because I was looking for that mother figure, but she wasn't there. And so I would say between the ages of 7 to 18, like 95% of the time, she was not there. So for me, it was that fight to try to get that attention, fight to get that motherly figure, fight to get that. And I believe that I substituted that. The way I would do that would be I had sisters later on and my aunts. I would substitute that love with them because they made sure that they stayed in contact with me. So whenever they had me around with the family and everything, I embraced my aunts, I embraced my sisters, my female cousins. So I attached myself to the women in my family, and that helped to keep me partially grounded enough to where I didn't have resentment actually for my mother because I understood why, but I was upset by what she did. And
Mm-hmm.
so my dad, on his part, I would say he never said one bad word about her to me. He never badmouthed her.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think that helped out a lot also too. So he made sure that he was there. He provided part of that nurturing part, but a lot of the strong masculine energy was there in the household. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe I've set my mindset when I got grown that I wanted that mother figure. So I believe that I attracted women who were more motherly in my life, which was pretty awesome right there. And I also
Mm-hmm.
believe God does everything for a reason. And to have three daughters,
Yes, I know.
so I had
Yeah.
to learn a lot because I have a lot of masculine energy where I'm hyped, I'm motivated, believe in responsibility, but then I get to have the daughters, which actually makes up for that portion right there, where I could actually be a lot more softer, be more nice in everything. And even though afterwards of trying to patch things over with my mother later on, I was able to
Mm-hmm.
patch up a lot of the wounds, but some of it, still lingers within. But
Mm-hmm.
there's something in my spirit that always said that I knew everything happened for a reason, not the reason that I wanted to. And when she was there, she was great. But when she wasn't, it was bad. But I understood the reason what caused that. And there was a lot of things that she had to deal with the trauma that caused her to go the path that she did. So
Mm-hmm.
for me personally, I try not to, younger years try not to hold that. But I believe that when they say that when the father's there, he can hold that balance for his son because he can put you in order, such as
Mm-hmm.
it reminds you to stay on track, that you need to do what you need to do. A military mind, especially a military dad that was in the Vietnam War, he had a different protocol of how things were done. So I didn't have a lot of time to feel too sad, to not really think
Mhm.
about it. But then the people that he were in relationships with, they always treated me great. So it was like there was always someone there to substitute that energy for me to where I had some of a balance. Wasn't always 100%, but somewhat there. You know what I mean? So it was like
Yes.
that balance. And now I'm the father, raising the daughter now. So it's
Wow.
kind of like that next generation
Yes.
again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
In a
we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about that. But we're going to go on our first break. See, it just goes so fast because we are just so inspired by the story. Just with that first segment, we already have learned a lot of life lessons from you. And we will continue as we come back after a short break. So don't go away. All right. See you in a bit.
Okay.
All right, we're back. And before we continue with our conversation with you, Trey, I'm just going to read some of the comments, okay? So
Okay.
let's see. All right, from Recto Julius. Good evening, Ma'am MJ, watching from Pangasinan. Good evening to you. And we have Daisel Miral Siaton. Good evening, Ma'am MJ, watching from Pangasinan. Wow, we have regular viewers. And we have Mary Grace Rocapor. Good evening, Ma'am MJ, watching from Pangasinan. And we have Prince Lawrence Escocio Alvendia. That's a very long name. Good evening, po. Good evening to you. And we have Gloria watching from Pangasinan. And we have more here. Let's see. All right. Geraldine Garcia says, Hi, Mom MJ and Sir Herbert, watching from Pangasinan. Hello to you. And then we have Chua Joveline. Good morning, Mom MJ, and to your guest. Good morning. And we have Chua Joveline again, watching from Manila. Yes. And Rodrigo Fabia. Good morning, Ma'am MJ and Sir Herbert. I'm Rodrigo Fabia from Pasarubio, Pangasinan, Philippines. I'm watching your channel. Well, thank you so much, Rodrigo. All right, Herbert. I know it was a tough situation growing up without a mom, and I could not even imagine, and um, I know your mom did her best. No mom, I believe, in the world would do something without a reason. And she wanted to be the best, but there were just so many things probably that was like not giving her that opportunity to be the best that she can be, and might have gone to a different path and all that. But if there's one thing that you can say that you have learned from your mom and that you actually are applying it in your day-to-day existence, what would that be?
One thing I could say about her is she's a very giving, nice person, and she's willing to give to help others. And I believe that that's one of my gifts when it comes to speaking, when it comes to coaching, to be able to help and give to others, even though you may be hurting at the same time, you're willing to lend out an extra hand. So I believe from her, that's one of the gifts that I was able to be able to utilize. Even through hurt, you're still able to do something for someone else.
Yes, so that being a very giving person, I think that's the secret of people who are happy,
Yes,
right? If you are
definitely.
a giving person, it's a secret to joy, it's a secret to happiness. And I can relate to some of your experience because I grew up with nothing. I come from a very poor family in the Philippines, but I always have cling into the promise of God that behind all these struggles, behind all these trials, he has bigger plans for us. And actually, he is preparing us with all these experiences. He is preparing us for greatness. Because imagine with you, from your childhood experiences, who would have thought that Trey is going to become a speaker, an author, like an Amazon employee, and the best of all, would want to serve the great country of US of A, right? So
Yes.
all those experiences actually have molded us into who we are now. So growing up, I know we struggle a lot, but out of those struggles in your life, out of those challenges, what do you think is the most important part that actually have made you to who you are now? Like the trait that we see who's accomplished, who's like gone so up from, leveled up from the status that we had growing up.
Yes, I think when I think about my childhood, when I was going through the things, I remember a situation where I was getting ready for school. My mom wasn't home. I was in kindergarten at this time, and I had the free lunch tickets, and I was looking for them, and there's clothes everywhere. I couldn't find my lunch tickets, and I remember saying, "Man, I have to go to school because I need to eat." I was
Mm-hmm.
hungry. I knew to go to school because I was hungry, not because somebody woke me up. Nobody was there. And I remember I couldn't find my tickets. So I go to school, I'm walking to school. I get there. So I'm talking to some of my friends. I'm like, I got some candy I can give you if you give me your food. And I knew that they would give me the food because they want the candy. So we did an exchange. And this is me in my survival mode of wanting to eat. I was hungry. And I believe
Mm-hmm.
when I think about the hungry effect, I think about Les Brown when he says you have to be hungry. And I understood what that meant when he said that statement because when I look at life and what my dad taught me was he said, he's not going to always be here. I'm going to set you up to be a man. You're going to fall. Believe you're going to fall, but you need to get back up after you fall. Let it
Mm-hmm.
go. And that was like that hunger effect. I realized that in life, every time I feel like I'm getting knocked down, it takes me back to as a boy when I had nothing to eat and I was hungry. And I said to myself, what am I going to do to eat? I have to eat. I am not going to starve. So when I go after something, I'm going at it with everything inside of me because I am hungry for it, because opportunities have never just fell into my lap. I had to work for it. If I didn't
Mm-hmm.
work, I was going to starve. So I've kept that mentality like I'm going to go for it. I don't care what it takes, how long it takes. I'm going to make it happen. So whatever it is, I'm going to make it happen. There's a way because God's spoken to me on numerous occasions, saved my life on numerous occasions. And when I think about that, like I remember walking across the street, 6 years old, a busy street. I was getting ready to step one foot onto the ground, and my body gets yanked back like this, and a car just drive past.
Ooh, oh my. Why?
And the neighbor, he saw me getting ready to cross the street. He ran after me and pulled me back in time. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she would have never known I would have been dead. She wasn't there. And so when I think about those incidents, I think about what could happen, that life is not promised. Every opportunity that comes your way, you have to be hungry for it or it's just going to keep going. You can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go after something, I go back to childhood in the way of I'm hungry, I want this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it. I don't expect nobody to give it to it, but I'm going to work to make it happen for me. So to me, it's that hunger for wanting more because I'm not full yet.
Yes, yes. We're not done yet.
No,
God is not done with us yet.
nope, not yet.
And yes, yes, because we have a purpose in this life. I believe in that too. Because just like I've said, I mean, I can relate because I grew up very poor. And as you were telling your story about the candy and all that, I remember too, like growing up, we had, I'm not kidding, if we had rice and oil and salt. And I remember there are candies that are sold in the Philippines for maybe 5 for a nickel or something. If we had those, we were okay. That's
Mhm.
how hard life was.
Yes.
We were hungry too. And that kept me going as well, because I can remember growing I was in elementary school. Every night before I go to bed, I was dreaming. I was dreaming of this mansion that I was telling myself that someday my family will live in this mansion, because we didn't have a house of our own. Like, we grew up homeless. Like, we didn't have a house. We moved from one relative to another. Like,
Mhm.
I could remember, maybe, Trey, we moved probably 5 times my up until I graduated in college. So literally we were homeless. We didn't have a property of our own. We didn't have a house of our own. So that kept me going too. See, that's how this life works. We get
Yes.
through those challenges and we become more resilient. We become more motivated. We become more
Yes.
powerful. And a lot of people out there are waiting to hear such beautiful stories, because there are a lot of people struggling. And
Yes.
sometimes we feel like life is so hard on us, but no, that's not the case. Life is giving us these experiences so we become stronger. And
Yes.
yes, so now let's get to that defining moment. I know there's too many things. You already shared about your hunger. You already shared about your mom being so giving. And these are all part of who you are now. But tell me about one defining moment in your life when you actually knew what you wanted to do. I know you've been through so many different things, because that sometimes that's how life is. Life
Yeah.
will let us experience one after another, and people say some that's bad thing because you cannot focus, and why can't you just stick to one thing? But no, we experience this so we know which one is actually the best path for us. So when did that moment come to you?
Oh, I remember like it was yesterday. This is a
Oh.
moment that I talk about a lot. I call it my
Uh-huh.
awakening moment. It was November 15th, 2016. I was working at that time for Verizon as an operations manager, and I was making great money, but I was feeling bored and unfulfilled because the past 6 years I've been just work, 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 not living in my true authentic self. Even when my professor said that you're born to be a speaker, I was like, whatever. And so one day I'm out getting off of work. I go home and I'm just laying on the bed. I'm like, God, what do I do with myself? Because I felt
Mhm.
empty. And I heard a voice. You are meant to be a speaker. That was
Mhm.
the voice I heard. And then I stopped. I looked up. I said, a speaker? Are you kidding me? I have nothing to say.
Mhm.
And then it went silent. And then the very next day, I went to work. Two things happened. Talk about being on your path. Wait till you hear this.
Uh-huh.
First thing, I was told that they're going to do a layoff, and I was going to be on the layoff list of managers. So at the end of November, I would no longer have a job and I have a severance package coming to me. I was like, oh, wow,
Oh.
that's nice to hear. And
Yeah.
then also, they were doing a Veterans Day speech that day, and the three other operations managers wasn't available that day because they took that time off. So I was the only one available, and they wanted me to speak to 120 employees about Veterans Day. I was upset. I was angry because I'm still thinking about I'm getting laid off, and now you want me to go in the room and speak. I don't want to
Mhm.
talk. I don't even know what to even say to anybody in there. So I was just like, let me just take it in and go in there and do what I need to do. So I go into the big training room, 120 employees staring at me. Some of my team, other departments are there. So I'm giving a speech off the top of my head. I talk about my brother experience, my dad's experience. And I didn't know the regional manager came in, so she was behind me and she heard the speech. And everyone gave me a standing ovation for this speech.
Mhm.
And she said, that was one of the best speeches I ever heard. I want to know if you can do that again, but we're going to bring the cameras for the company, and we're going to put you on a company intranet with this video talking about your experience right here. So two
Oh,
things happen. Three
yeah.
things happen. One, when you ask God, he's going to answer you. That happened the night
Mhm.
before. The next
Yeah.
day, when we say sometimes you think a bad thing is happening, but it's actually happening for a reason. It's not bad. To get cut from that job, but to also do a speech that same day,
Mhm.
that began the path of me deciding to say that, you know what, I am meant to speak and I'm going to do everything in my power to become a speaker. And at that time, for the next month, I was starting to lose everything in my life, all my material possessions that I gained. And I remember one night I was laying in my bed again at the end of December 2016. And I'm going through YouTube and Les Brown's speech come on.
Mhm.
It will not stop. I will not stop until I win. So I'm sitting and watching, listening to Les Brown saying, you know what? One day I'm going to be on stage and I'm going to be Les Brown.
Mhm.
That was what I set that intention on. And we know it happened, you
Yes,
know.
yes. Oh my gosh. I mean, that is so powerful and profound. When it's God's plan, nobody can go against it. And he's
Yeah.
going to lay the ground for you. And that was so amazing. But let's go on another break. And when we come back, we will continue with your very exciting and wonderful story, Trey. So
Okay.
we'll be back after another short break. Yes.
In a world filled with fleeting moments, there's beauty waiting to be captured. My name is Christian, and I specialize in immortalizing your most precious memories. From elegant weddings to vibrant events and timeless portraits, I am here to make every moment unforgettable. Let me tell your story through the lens. Contact me today and let's create magic together.
All right, we're back again and we have more comments. Okay, let's read them. Let's see whose next comment is going to be. It's from Norma Manangan. Good morning, watching from Pangasinan. God bless your show. Well, thank you po. Thank you. And God bless you as well. And we have Richelle Modelo Tason. Good evening, Texas. Good morning from Pangasinan. Awesome. And we have Joan Esteriha. Good evening po, Ma'am MJ and Sir, watching from Pangasinan. Yes, yes. And we have Alexis Oliveros. Good evening, watching from Pangasinan. And I think that's it. But Trey, wow. Oh my God. I just I just love it. You know how God works in our lives and how he just knows what his plan for you is and the desires of your heart, and he's going to put you in that situation when the perfect timing comes. Because
Yeah.
my story is a little bit different. I grew up in public speaking as early as like 7 years old. I was speaking in front of the whole school, and then I grew up until college in competitive oratorical speaking in the Philippines, because Filipinos, English is it's not our our natural language. So, but I think I believe and I think God, that's what he put me in, like gave me as a gift. The gift
Yeah.
of speaking, the gift of moving people through their emotions, like looking them in the eye, and then he gave me that gift. But because of my family situation, where I told you that we were very poor, I had to put that aside for a little bit. I had to become a nurse so I can help my family. So here I am. I'm in the US of A, but God is so great that here I
Yes.
am now. I'm doing what I've been born to do. And I have this opportunity to meet guys like you who have the same passion and drive that I have. And I'm just so inspired by your story. Now, let's talk about what happened after that moment in your life when God actually showed you how to become a speaker, and what happened after December of 2016, when things were getting a little bit tough. What drove you to keep going and just following God's voice in your life?
Ooh, this is even an exciting one. So we get to roll into 2017. few months in, my severance package is starting to go down. The money's starting to go away. I'm trying to apply for jobs. And at the same time, I'm trying to understand how to speak. So I'm watching Les Brown. I'm watching Eric Thomas. I'm watching all the speakers just to see what do I need to do to format it. And I
Mhm.
remember my aunt, she said to go to her church to one of the men's groups just to go there,
Mhm.
right? I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I'll go there. So I'll go to her church to one of the men's group, and they had a topic that they were speaking on how to better yourself.
Uh-huh.
And I was speaking about what I did to better myself in the group. And they were like, do you want to come back and speak again? I was like, okay, I'll speak again. So the pastor calls me up and want me to speak in front of the whole congregation of a few hundred people. He said, your
Uh-huh.
story is inspiring. I need you to speak to everyone. So I went in there, I spoke to everyone, and people were handing me their business cards. People were inspired by me. And I didn't feel like I did anything at that moment, but
Mhm.
they felt what, they felt my story. And then a few months later, I couldn't find a job. My severance package ran out. I was starting to lose everything, credit, everything was just starting to go down. Relationship, everything just pretty much seemed like when they say the walls are falling down, you're going through your Job moment. I was going through my Job moment, and I was still standing faith because I believed that God was going to guide me there.
Mhm.
And I remember it gets towards the end of the year, and one of my sisters, she was very inspiring to help me out. She said that she wanted me to get on this internet radio station to speak. And also, it was a convention going on at the LA Convention Center where the speaker didn't show up, also, too. She called me 2 hours before this and said, brother, can you show up here and just speak? She's like, there's no money involved, but can you just speak? I didn't care if it was free or not. So
Yes.
I went to the internet radio that she told me to go to. I went to LA Convention Center, and I just kept pushing. And at that time, I wasn't on social media. And God gave me another message, says you need to go on social media. I'm like, why? I don't want to be on. I
Yeah.
said, every time I fought against it, something would happen to me. So I said, okay, if this is what God wants, I have to do it. So I go on Facebook and I go on Instagram and started building up an audience, and people started to find me little by little by little. And I decided one day when I was sitting in Starbucks, I didn't have any money. I went in there and I said, I'm going to start writing my book. I'm going to do an outline. And
Mhm.
I remember sitting there, and I go to the Starbucks all the time, and they know me. So the barista, he was like, Trey, do you want a coffee? I'm like, I don't have money. He said, Trey, I'm gonna give you your normal coffee. Don't worry about it. So he gave me a free coffee. He said, if you need refills, we have you. So I was there for 6 hours. The Coach Hill
Mhm.
Motivate book is what came to me during that time. I did a complete outline for the whole entire book, starting that, and I left it alone. And I used that as my speaking guide for speaking as I was watching Les Brown trainings. And so as I wrote it to 2018, I stopped, I start, I stopped, I start. People would contact me out of nowhere. And I remember I wanted to give up in the middle of 2019. I remember that. I said, it's not going anywhere. I'm doing gigs here and there, but it's not picking up. I'm working again. So I'm building up my life again. So all of that stuff started to rebuild, which was great. And, after almost getting evicted, after losing my car, happened to file bankruptcy, happened to start over and me and my daughter. So it was a lot, going through that struggle. And I said, I don't want to speak anymore. I said, this is hard. No one's finding me for a while now. And I remember this is how I know many reasons why I know God is real. God
Mhm.
said, you need to go on Facebook tonight. I'm like, I don't usually go on Facebook at 8 o'clock at night. I don't want to go on. And I was
Mhm.
like, well, I got to do it because if I don't do it, God's going to give me another hint that I don't want to deal with. Because if you don't listen to God the first time, He's going to make it harder for you. He's going to do it
Yes.
or do it. So I was like, fine, I'll go online. And I remember I went online. I did one of my improv speeches, and someone was watching, and she was like, I love what you're talking about. I want to know if you're willing to come to Las Vegas and do a speech. And I said, do a speech. So like, yes, I want you to do a speech for one of the political groups in Vegas is going on with the mayor and everything, the councilman. I want you to speak in front of them. Whatever your expenses is, whatever your fee, we're cover it. And I was like, I was stunned. I was
God,
like,
yes. working in your
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
Yes.
yes. And I
Oh.
was like, how did this happen? And my heart's beating fast. I'm like, I said, so what do you want me to say? She's like, whatever comes to your mind, because I know you can speak. And at the time, I was living in California, and my oldest son, he was going to ASU in Arizona. And I called
Mhm.
my son up. I said, since you know how to do cameras, I need you to film this for me. I said, I'm going to come to Arizona, pick you up, and then we're going to drive to Vegas from there. And I want you to film this. This is going to be my first, video footage right here. And I went there. I was nervous. They couldn't tell I was nervous.
Mhm.
And after I was done speaking, I was the last speaker that night. And I remember a lot of people were getting ready to leave because they didn't know that there was one more speaker.
Mhm.
And so when they saw that I was speaking, they already turned off the microphone. And so I went into my loud voice so everyone can hear. And the people in the back, they stopped and they turned back around. So they was hearing me speak. Halfway through my speech, they turned the microphone back on. People were coming back into the building and they were just hearing what I was saying.
Mhm.
And after I was done, I had the biggest standing ovation that I could possibly see. The councilman shook my hand, the mayor shook my hand, and they told me in the back room that you should have been the first speaker.
Mhm.
So what you said right there was the most powerful speech of the night. He said, we
Wow.
saved the best for last, but you should have been first. Here's my card. And I say that for a reason that we may not know the path that God is going to take us on, but when we don't give up and we listen and we just work without trying to put our ego or our mind into trying to figure things out, that's when I knew at that point that everything's going to be fine. And I knew that I can't give up. I just can't, no matter what. I may have my good or bad days back then. I said, but I can't give up. I have to do this. This is me. It became me.
Mhm.
I actually owned it after that situation right there. It was like nothing you can tell me that I cannot do this.
Wow, that is so powerful and profound. Wow, Trey. That's why me too. I believe in God. I know, as you can tell now too. I mean everything that has happened in my life, good or bad, I know God has a reason for letting those things happen. And he has a reason for all of us. We just don't realize because sometimes we try to play like we are a victim of this life. We have that victim mindset, but we don't realize that God is giving us those so we can become more and that we become hungry to be better. Because if we don't experience those, life is complacent. Like when life is easy, the path will be harder. That's, isn't it? That's what Les Brown said, right? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, and you know what? My son too. You know, my son in the Air Force, we still have it in our refrigerator. We stick in our refrigerator sticky note there. Ask not, what is it? Ask God not to give to I can't even say it, but ask God to make life harder or something like that so you become stronger or something like that. I can't even say it, but maybe you can say it. I'm just so stunned by your story because oh my God, God has been there all along. And the
Yes.
reason why you have all these experiences, you have all these beautiful stories that you can just pull out from your, right? From your
Yes.
memory. Because when you're speaking from your genuine self and your authentic self from your story, it is more powerful, it is more impactful because you have it, you've been there, you cannot
Yeah.
share something that you don't have, and people are waiting for people for each other to share what we
Yeah.
have, the wisdom, all the lessons, because someone out there is going through the same thing that you've gone through, and you'll be able to help that person actually get through this season in their life in a better way. So you're saving lives. We are in the business of saving, right? So, oh my
Yes.
God, Trey, I'm so excited. When we come back, we're going to talk more now about your book and about your signature story. because we're going into the last segment of the show. So we're going to focus on that. So be prepared. When we come back, we're going to talk about, oh my, I'm so excited. I'm so blessed to have listened to your story. And I thank God for you. Anyway, we'll be back after a short break. All
Okay.
right.
Tune into Legal Treats with attorney Eileen Ligote Dizon
every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Get your weekly dose of legal knowledge, especially on family matters like divorce, child custody, child support, estate planning, probate, and immigration.
Engage in discussions by posting your questions, comments, greetings, or shoutouts.
See you every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time. That would be Saturday at 9 a.m. Philippines. Don't miss out.
All right, we're back. We're back. And we have more comments. We have Densho Esteria. God bless po. Good evening, Ma'am MJ. Sir Herbert watching from Moncada, Tarlac. Yes, that's awesome. And we have Filomeno Castañeda. Good evening, Texas. I love watching your show. Wow. Thank you very much. You inspire us. And then Luz Castañeda. Good evening, watching from Tarlac. That is amazing. Don Castillo Avendia. Good morning, Mom MJ, watching from Pusurubio, Pangasinan. Yes. Oh my God. I'm just so full of inspiration and power and motivation. And I'm just so blessed to have you on the show tonight, Trey. And yeah, let me just frame my mind. I meant like ask God for life to be like not easy. Ask not for an easy life, but ask for the strength to get through the difficulties in life.
Oh,
Because
yes.
that's how we build resilience. That's how we become better. That's what,
Yes.
like, the pain that we experience in life, they have a purpose. That's why let's turn our pain into purpose. Let's turn our trials into triumphs. Let's turn our struggles into success. Because the sweeter life is if we actually come out and like we overcome, right? We overcome those things. But of course, not with our own strength, but with the help of God. Because we
Yes.
can't do it alone. We
No.
can't. Yeah. So now let's talk about your book, Coach, Heal, Motivate. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So tell us about your book, Trey.
Coach, heal, motivate, where we coach the mind, heal the body, and motivate the spirit. That book right there is been in the works for a long time. Originally starting that book in 2017, but as a kid, I've always wanted to write a book. Didn't know what I
Mhm.
wanted to write. And I remember after I wrote my outline for the book in Starbucks, I kept adding to it. And then I remember when we was going through 2020, everything that was happening, I decided I was going to really push the book forward. And at that time, I was working with a ghostwriter that was helping me to get the book together. They did a horrible job. I spent lots of money on the book, and I just gave up afterwards. I was like, you know what? This book didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I'm not going to do it. And then fast forward into 2023, I said, I have
Mhm.
to do this book. God said this book has to come out. I have to tell a story of what people need to do to overcome their challenges, to overcome their struggles. So as I was finishing up my bachelor's degree at that time, I said, I'm going to work on this book and get it out. I spent 22 days straight working on that book. I said that one of my majors that I was great at was English,
Mhm.
and I've always had modern literature, American literature. I was one of those persons that loved to write poetry, so I love writing. So it wasn't hard. So I said I can edit my own book. Let me
Mhm.
contact some people that I know that would help me, and I said I'm going to self-publish this myself. 22 days straight I worked to get it from a 12-page outline to a 95-page book, and I
Oh, you're the
yes.
person I'm looking. I knew you're gonna inspire me. Yes.
And I was just going at it day and night, and I was just saying I had my chapters, and one of my first chapter that I really enjoyed, which is called "Go for What You Want."
Mhm.
And I know that to begin with the book, it starts with people trying to kill your dreams, trying to tell you what you shouldn't do, try to hide that inner child within you that love to dream so big, so immense that you know who you are. So I felt
Mhm.
that that was the beginning of it. And
Mhm.
I wrote that chapter, I extended that chapter out. And it brought me back to when I was writing the book. I was thinking about what happened to me in 2021. I caught COVID in June of 2021. Um,
Mhm.
I almost passed away. I was in ICU for about a week.
Oh my.
And it took me about 4 months to rehabilitate. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk actually because I was out of breath. I was just like everything was my lungs were bad. Even to this day, I have issues with my lungs and also with my heart. But I go to the gym, I hike, I work out, I stay in great spirits. And I remember being in ICU. I think it was because a lot of spotted memories. I think it was like my second to my last day there. Because
Mhm.
I would say, God, if you let me survive this, I promise I'll finish that book. Because I kept going on and off with the book. If you let me survive, I'll finish that book. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Because I wanted to live. I did not want that to be my end in that room. And the
Mhm.
next day I started to breathe better. They didn't have to put me on a ventilator, thank God. And so I was able to get out of there and start the process of finishing the book. So when I think about the book, when I went for that first chapter of Going for What You Want, I wanted to write that book. I wanted to
Mhm.
be an author. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to do everything that God has put inside of me to make that happen. So that first chapter was my favorite chapter because it brought me back to what I've been through. And this book is not just a motivational book.
Mhm.
This book is a guide to helping others overcome struggles, and it also give you helpful informational tips how to get to the next level. So when I
Mhm.
talk about go for what you want, going after your dreams, no matter what anyone says, we go into the next chapter, which is called Weapons of Mass Distraction. We talk about people, places, or things that distract us from our goals. How do we get away from those distractions? Do we need to turn off the TV? Do we need to set boundaries with other people? We need to create a plan. And this book is what I utilize in life to actually get to where I am now. So if you say, Trey, how did you get to where you're at now? Coach Hill Motivate book from chapter 1 through 10. That is the fundamental blueprint of how I am to where I am today. It tells my stories of what I've been through, how did I overcome them, and what tools did I utilize to making that happen. So when we talk about Coach Heal Motivate, which stands for Coach the Mind, Heal the Body, and Motivate the Spirit, is what I believe that we all need in order to be one with ourselves, one with God, because this is the temple right here. And
Yes. Yes.
that book is like it is a driving force that when I feel down, I look at it because I'm motivated. I
Mm.
can be coached, and I feel that anyone else that has this book will be able to do the same. And
Mhm.
to close it off with the book right there that I truly enjoy, when Amazon, my boss found out that I did the book, Amazon wanted to utilize my book for a lot of trials within the company as well too. And so I would say to anybody, whether it be a book, whether it be speaking, whether it be school, whatever it is that you want to do with your life, go for it. Just make it happen. Don't worry about the sales. Don't worry about the struggles because I've been through the struggles. I've given up and gotten up, given up, gotten up. But I think the give up for me is the frustration at the moment. But deep down within my spirit, my core, God's like, you're going to do this. And so I get up and I go do it again. And so that book right there, I would say, is the baby, the new baby, to help not just myself, but to help others and see what I've been through to overcome these challenges so that we can become the better versions of ourselves.
Yes. Wow, Trey. That right there. I mean, it's just one of the most powerful things that I've listened to. All your experiences from childhood, being a motherless kid, you know, having like struggles even with reading and all that. Now you're working on your doctorate or PhD.
Yes,
That right there. And then you served the military. You are serving a lot of people. We are in the business of service because
yes,
when you think about serving and not getting anything in return, God will take care of the rest.
yes,
And that's how your life is a true testament of God's miracle in our lives. And I can say that for my life too, like from the bottom of my heart, because I wouldn't be here without those struggles. I wouldn't be the person that I am. And you wouldn't be the Trey that you are now without those struggles, because you wouldn't have all these stories. You
Yes.
wouldn't have this book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, be bold. That's why we have this show, because we want to inspire every single person out there. We want to let them know that they have something. Each one of us has something special.
Yes.
Don't let anybody say otherwise, because
No.
God, who's our creator, is the one who created us, and we are created in his own image. And we may not be perfect, but we have a perfect God.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, Trey. It's been so just amazing tonight hearing your story. I am just so inspired and motivated and empowered. And I've been wanting to write a book too, because I feel like my story is the same. I mean, it's like there are just people out there waiting to hear the story or read the story.
Yes.
And again, there are no excuses. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm just so inspired by you. And I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you, Trey, for your vulnerability, for sharing your true self, your authenticity in the show. And I just believe that God really has more powerful things from you. I mean, planned out for you. So now what do we expect from Trey? What's the next level of Trey? Tell us, Trey. Your
Well,
vision for the next few years to close out. Yeah, just give us your vision for your life in the next few years.
well, you're going to see more series of books coming out soon. My podcast right now, which is on an internet radio station called Shadow Work Unleash 144 podcast, that will be streaming pretty soon in the next couple of weeks everywhere as well. Besides that, more speaking engagements and workshops, because I'm developing a workshop where we work on our shadow work, which I've learned in psychology, is working through our traumas, how to heal through them. So building those workshops and summits is definitely something that's a baby of mine that I'm looking to help expand towards others.
Awesome. I am so excited for you. And I am there too. I'm gonna get there. I work as a full-time nurse practitioner at MD Anderson Cancer Center. So my job alone, it's fulfilling. I mean, it's not an easy job, because dealing with patients with cancer, and especially young, it just breaks my heart. But I feel like I have a purpose in my patients' lives. So every day, even though it's a stressful job, I feel some fulfillment, because I know that I make, even no matter how small or big of a difference we can make on other people's lives. That is something to me that makes life really truly meaningful.
I
Because
agree.
because if we don't have meaning in this life, it's like we're living just like a bubble without anything, right?
Yes.
But if we have meaning in our life and we find our meaningful pursuit, it just makes life wonderful. So, oh my God, I'm so excited for you, Trey. And I'm here if you need a guest also in your show. I mean, I
Oh,
would love to
definitely.
share my story. I would love to just inspire more people out there. But yes, just last words for our viewers. What can you tell them? Your final wonderful message for them, Trey.
I would tell you that life is always lifing. When I say life is always lifing, that means that things are going to happen. You're going to experience the good, the bad, and what the heck just happened moments. But understand that in life, it's not meant to put you down, but to build you up stronger. When you think about your trials and tribulations, everything that you're going through is building a newer version of yourself. Just remember this: today, you're the strongest person that you've ever met, because everything in your past You've already survived it. You're already a champion. So if you've survived everything that's already happened in your past and it's made you stronger to where you are today, imagine the obstacles that you can overcome and win and be that champion. Because I will say this, life is not easy, but life is definitely worth it. Whatever you're doing, you're built with the purpose. Don't give up. Don't let any person, place, or thing prevent you from going after what you're meant to do. It's your journey. Live it, love it, and be a part of it. And with that said, when we coach our mind, heal the body, motivate the spirit, we become one with God and one with our purpose, and you can do this.
Woo! Oh my goodness! Oh, that is so powerful, Trey. Thank you. Thank you. I am so stunned with the story, with the powerful message that you have for our viewers. And I feel like I don't want to end the show, but we gotta end the show. We're a little bit over, but well, let's see who won the game. Okay, let's see who won the game. Let's
So,
do it. Okay. All right. Yeah, let's roll. There you go. Is it spinning? All right. Okay, we have a winner. Congratulations, Chua Jovelin. Yes, just send me a message on my messenger. And if we're not friends on Facebook, I don't see your message, but I'll look up for it. Okay, so you can claim your prize. Again, Trey, thank you so much.
thank
I
you.
thank God for you, for your life, and for the people that you continue to coach, heal, and motivate. God bless you, Trey, and thank
Thank
you.
you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Good night, everyone. And to all of you there, go for it. Live your life in your own terms and with God's guidance. God bless everyone. Good night.